Introducing the Nomad tent by Roamin Home. Today's video is going to be a step-by-step one-person setup which will take you through the entire process of setting up your Nomad. This is everything in the whole package. So you have the big bag with your tent in it, the small bag with your floor and all of your accessories for the tent, the stove and all of its accessories packed inside of it. This is everything that the tent package comes with. This is all your parts that come with the Nomad package laid out in front of you. We have a waterproof instruction book that comes with every tent. This is your pole set. It's all segmented, nothing more than 28 inches long. Here's your ropes. We have 3 different lengths. These ropes are all you need to guy out your tent. Your hammer and your stakes. And your stove with its parts laid out. It comes with a stovepipe that nests inside of itself, legs, warming trays, and then here's your tent. And that's your entire Nomad package right there. Everything you need to set up the tent, all ready to go. Let's go ahead and set this tent up. I start with my pole set. Your largest diameter is your center peak pole. The bottom has a flat plastic plug in it. We have snap button connectors to make it so that your pole won't come apart when you're standing it up. So find all your large pieces and just set them together. The top will have a domed, rounded end. Next I have my door pole, which has an adjustable foot on it, and that's an integrated thing that we came up with so that when the tent shrinks over time, you can adjust that and still get your door pole to fit. Last is going to be your exterior sidewall poles. They're going to consist of a common. We call that the common. Doesn't have a swedge on either end, it's just open. Then you put a swedge piece with a colored tip on it. So right now I'm putting together the blacks. They're generally going to be a common and a swedged end, but we do have 3 special poles. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this red pole set. It will end up with 2 reds on 1 common. So you end up with 3 pieces for that one. There's going to be 2 red poles. They will go on the front of the tent. It will also have another pole that takes 3 sections. It will have the blue ends. So you have a common and 2 blue pieces. That one's going to go the center of the back of the tent. Then what's left, you just go ahead and put the colored tips on your commons and your sidewall poles are put together. In the book, we have diagrams, we have poles laid out, so you can see the different lengths of poles and the colors where they go in relation to the corners of the tent and the sides of the tent. Now let's roll out the canvas. Start center front of your floor. This is where your door is going to be, so roll out front to back on your canvas. And just unfold your tent towards the sides. As you unfold it, you're going to expose the sod cloth, which you can see that dark color right there. That will be your perimeter of your tent. So I'll usually just lay that right on top of the floor and leave it set there until I stake out the perimeter. But just leave your canvas loose at this point. Go ahead and do the other side. Now you're ready for your stakes. So your hammer and your stake come in a bag together. Little design we came up with we're pretty happy with. The hammer is integrated. It becomes the flap. You can see there. Pull your hammer out, and then where the hammer goes turns into your handle to carry the bag around. So you got your spikes in here like that. So I'll start out on a corner of the tent. I just pick a random corner. The floor has a strap connected to the bottom. You're going to want to run that through your perimeter grommet. These spikes you'll nail vertically and you'll leave them 4 to 6 inches out of the ground. That's so that your sidewall poles can set on top of it. Now let me show you what this strap looks like. So it's attached to the floor and it's sewn interior like that so you can manage the sod cloth from the inside. So it's got a grommet in it. You'll find your perimeter grommet, which is in the curb of the tent. Drop your spike through it. Drop your spike through the strap with the grommet. Pull against your other corner and drive it straight down. So vertical, and leave it sticking out 4 to 6 inches. Move on to your next corner. Grab the strap. Grab the grommets. Pull against your other spike. So I pull across the front. Move to the other corner. Now there's your last corner. So you're going to pull against the whole tent. And that's going to set your square of the tent. Now come to the center here where your door is. You can see the door. The floor has another strap. So there are 6 straps on the floor. Corners and then front and back. This one, you make sure you get through the door. Pull it tight. I'm going to drive this spike down to where it's only an inch out of the ground. See, I've only got that about an inch. That's so that the door pull will set on it. I'll show you later where you kind of have to stretch the canvas. Then come to the back, pull your strap, line it up with your curb, and finish out your spikes. So you'll see the grommets around your curb. Every one of them needs a spike in it that's vertical. And of course, leaving it 4 to 6 inches out of the ground. Now we're ready to start putting our sidewall poles on. I'll grab a handful of sidewall poles here, and I'll make sure to hold them by the common and keep the swedge piece above me so I don't scatter them everywhere. Grab about half of them. Now, placing these colored poles is important. So front corner is yellow. Mid walls are black. The back corner is green. And the diagram in your book will show you where all these poles go. It's really well laid out. But for this video, yellow on the front corner, blacks for the mid wall, green on the back corner, and blue in the center of the back. Next, for efficiency's sake, I like to put a rope in the top of every one of these sidewall poles. Now, you don't have to do it this way. This is just my preference. It just makes it so that when I set up the tent, my parts are where they need to be. So let's pull some canvas up here. So take your eye bolt and your rope, put it through your tent grommet and into the top of the sidewall pole. Kind of just manage some tension on here to keep that corner standing up. Go ahead and grab a spike, and then you're going to place that spike through this chain link detail on the end of our rope. Now this chain link detail protects your rope from getting struck by the hammer. The spike cannot go all the way through the chain link. Drive your spike perpendicular to the rope and all the way below the dirt surface. That's going to prevent that spike from being pulled out from leverage. Now go around and do the same thing to the 4 corners. So you can put your spike in, pull a little tension out of the rope just to keep your corner standing up. It's important to get those corners stood up because you're going to need that for the next step when we stand the peak pole. The peak pole needs to have those in place so that it won't fall over. Now here's a good view of the tensioner. You just pull it and let go, and that thing will hold tight. Next, we're going to do the peak pole. So unzip your door. Then your peak pole is going to have a rounded plastic cap on the end. Locate that. That's going to go into the cap of your tent. So I just lift the tent up a little bit and I'll pull that cap towards me so I don't have to climb in the tent. Get it situated. And then you'll just go ahead and lift this up. We send every tent with a pole coaster. We call it a pole coaster. It's basically a base for the peak pole. So you want to put that underneath the peak pole to keep it from pushing clear into the dirt. Just get it placed at this point. Now go ahead and find your ropes that have the red tensioners on them. These will go with those red poles that go on the front of the tent. These ropes are a little bit longer than the ones that went around the perimeter. And they need to be because these poles are a little taller. So this is the same as the sidewall poles. Place it on the spike. Put your eye bolt through the tent. Now when you're staking your ropes out for the poles, on these red poles and all your remaining mid-wall poles, you need to line your ropes up with the seam on the roof of the tent. See that? There's a seam that comes from the peak to that pole. So take a look at that and then line up your rope with that. What that's going to do is create a radial pattern for your ropes, and that really helps with the wind. Really locks the tent down to the ground. So do the same on this other side. See, I'm looking at that line, staking out my rope. Now you're going to find the rope that has two ropes on one eye bolt. These are your longest ropes, and these are going to go on your door pole. Now this door pole we do a little differently because it gets high enough that you can't put this eye bolt in from the top. So you put the eye bolt in the top of the door pole first, and then you're going to lift it up on top of the spike. Now this is the spike I told you to leave about an inch out of the ground, and you'll see here how that helps. So I'm kind of stretching the canvas and I'm lifting that pole up, and where I got that spike head kind of down low, it makes it easier to get that pole on there. Now when you're staking out these ropes for the door pole, make sure you stake them out really wide. I like to stake them out even wider than where I staked out the red ropes. And the reason being is you want to get those ropes wide enough that they do not obstruct your entrance to the tent. Makes it so that you can come in and out of that tent without running into a rope. Now we're going to go around and finish out the rest of the sidewall poles. So it's the same process. Take your eye bolt, run it through the grommet in the eave of your tent. Then put that eye bolt down into the top of the sidewall pole. Pull your rope out in line with the seam from the peak to the pole. Put your spike into that chain link. Drive it in perpendicular to the rope. That's pretty important. If you don't drive it perpendicular, then that stake won't hold as good. Put a little tension on that rope just to hold the tent up. We're going to go ahead and take a minute and talk about this exterior sidewall pole system, how simple it is, and how strong and how good this thing does. So you got that pole sitting on top of a spike, which is sitting on top of your curb of your tent. So it's pushing your canvas right down into your ground. Then you take an eye bolt and put it into the top and lock the top of the tent, top and bottom on that sidewall pole. And then when you stake out that rope, it creates this triangulation that once it's pulled tight, it really doesn't have anywhere to go. That system is really simple and really strong, and it holds up to the wind so well. Now we've got the sidewall poles all staked out. The tent is now staked out, so it is time to tighten the tent. When I go to tighten the tent, I will always start with the four corners. You're going to pull those four corners, and that's going to pull tension right down on your peak pole. And it's going to help keep your tent square and straight. So I've got all four corners pulled right here. Then I'll go around and I'll do the sidewalls. Once my sidewalls are finished, I'll come back around the tent to the front of it and finish it up. Tighten up my door pole and my red poles, get my tent tight. And I'll take a minute and take a look at it and see if this tent needs to be adjusted a little bit. And this one looks like it does. So I'm not pulled hard enough here to the left. So I'm going to pull this corner pole, tighten it up, pull my red pole, tighten it up, pull the door pole, and I can pull some of that lean out of the tent. I'm Ben Lewis with Roamin Home Tents. This Nomad tent has been a game changer for us, and I'm sure will be for you too, and it'll last you for years to come. Thanks a lot, everybody.